Welcome everybody to this video on how to create a loom for weaving. So I'm going to start off by telling you what you need in front of you. So you need either a Sharpie or a pencil, a ruler, a piece of heavy oak tag or some chipboard. You can find this on the back of like a sketchbook. A lot of times they'll be made of this, the covers. You can also find it in like a cereal box, but sometimes the cereal boxes are really thin and it might be too floppy. So you want something pretty sturdy, but not too thick where it's really hard to cut through. Okay, so for now, you're also going to need a scissor and some masking tape. So I'm going to start off by telling you this is an 8x10 piece of chipboard. This is a weaving that was done on a much smaller loom. So the size of this will determine the size of your weaving in the end. And I'm doing this large so that you can see, and I'm going to use a Sharpie so that you can see my lines. Whatever you do, you need to start off by getting your ruler to line up with the edge. And I could go this way too if I want a wide one, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to line my ruler up with the edge, and I'm going to use my marker to create a line. I'll line my ruler up to the edge here and use my marker to create that line. Okay. So I know that this is an 8x10, and I know that if I do every inch, it's going to be the same on top and bottom. So I'm going to line my ruler up so that my ruler is at 0. And then at every inch, I'm going to make a little mark. Now the good news is this might take some time and some energy and work, but you can reuse this loom many times to create lots of different weavings. So you put the work in the beginning and it's well worth it. Line my ruler up to 0, and then I'm going to make every inch a little mark. Okay. Then I'm going to turn my ruler and I'm going to just make my ruler line up with 2 marks. Now, you're only drawing lines from this line to the edge. So I'm going to draw a line from this line to the edge and from this line to the edge. So it should look like that. From this to the edge, from this to the edge. Move it over, make sure it's straight. From here to the edge, here to the edge. These are going to be the lines that you are going to be cutting. Okay? And then after that, we're going to be wrapping some string, and then we can start our weaving. So I'm going to do a couple different videos so that you're not sitting here for a long, long time, and you can just go step by step with me. But basically, the first video right now is how to create your loom. And there's lots of different ways to make looms. This is just one of them. Okay. Now you get your scissor, and I'm going to try to go as quickly as I can. And you're going to basically just cut, and then once your scissor reaches that line, you stop. My scissor happens to be like the perfect length, so this is nice and easy. So I'm going to try to go quickly. You take your time when you're doing this. Flip it over, cut your slits on this side. If it goes a little past the line, that's okay, but you don't want to have your scissor go too far in there because then it'll just make your weaving a lot more difficult to do. Alrighty. So that's your loom. That's it. And now you're going to have to wrap your string around so that you can weave. I'm going to use a different string so that you can see it. I think I'm going to take a color. Now, you always want to make sure that you have a lot more string than you think you need. I really have no idea how much string this is going to take, but I'm going to be generous. You want to make sure that it's a very strong yarn, okay? So I'm going to start by putting my first little end here into this slit. But you want to make sure that you have like a decent amount of string there. So we're going to call this the tail. I'm going to push this through. And then I'm going to tape this with my masking tape to the back. And really rub that tape down. Make sure that thing is on there. Okay? Now, you want to tug it to be down here. These kind of look like teeth. and this is sort of like your flossing. So now I'm gonna go down to this one. I'm gonna put it through, and then I'm gonna really give it a tug, and then I'm gonna flip it and go to the next. So on the back, it's gonna be on an angle, but you'll see on the front, it'll be nice and straight. And every single time you go through one of these teeth, you wanna tug. Don't go on to the next thing until you've tugged and make sure it's tight. If these strings are loose, really loose, it's gonna be difficult for your weaving. So that's what the back is looking like. Really give it a tug. And you don't wanna tug it too much where your cardboard starts bending. And if you have a cereal box, you gotta be careful of that because if the cardboard's really thin, that could happen. All right, but you still need it to be nice and snug and tight. Give it a little tug. These are called warp strings, W-A-R-P. When you're making a loom and you're weaving, the strings that you're weaving onto are called your warp strings. So I'm tugging, I'm almost done. I'm gonna flip it to the back. See, I took a lot of extra yarn that I don't need, but that's okay. It's better to have too much than not enough. Okay? Again, leave yourself a nice long tail. Tape that bad boy down. And you don't want to tape on top of your other strings. Rub it so that it's really stuck on there. And if you're working in a group with other people, I would write my name on one of these pieces of tape. And there I have my loom. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to begin weaving. That was not that hard, and the coolest thing is that I can use this piece of board over and over and over again until it's damaged or broken or ripped or whatever. But yeah, take the time, do this right, nice and tight, and you will be in good shape for the next step.